My husband moved his pregnant work colleague into my house and then told me to leave. We'd been trying for a baby for 3 years. 3 years of pregnancy tests, 3 years of disappointments, and 3 years of wondering if it was ever even going to happen for us. And then one day, it finally did. I was pregnant, and I remember feeling like everything I'd ever wanted was finally right there inside of me. Growing, safe and perfect. Until it wasn't. We lost the baby. Who knew that grief could be such a physical pain? And then just 2 weeks later, he came to me with a suggestion that would end up destroying everything. Just 2 weeks after we lost the baby, he came home and said a colleague from work, she was pregnant, her husband had left her, apparently he'd thrown her out and she had nowhere to go, no family nearby, no support system. And because we had a spare room, my husband wanted to move her in with us. And I immediately said no. I don't think it's a good idea. Not because I don't feel sorry for her, I did, but I was barely surviving my own grief. The idea of living every day with a pregnant woman, watching her experience everything I'd just lost. I honestly didn't think I could do it. But my husband kept insisting. He told me that helping somebody else might actually help me heal. He said she needed us. And eventually I just didn't have the fight left, so I just agreed. And for a while, everything was fine. We actually became really close. I'd sit with her when she cried about her ex. I'd reassure her when she worried about becoming a single mum. I'd cook dinner for her when she was exhausted. And when she had cravings, either me or my husband would run out and get whatever she wanted. We never asked her for rent. We never asked her for money. We didn't ask her for anything. I genuinely thought we were helping somebody through the worst period of her life. I didn't for a second think I was being taken advantage of in the worst period of mine. One afternoon I came home from work and the house was empty, which was strange because my husband was supposed to be working from home and she was signed off work with stress, so I called him and there was nothing. I called her, nothing. And about 40 minutes later they both came through the front door and they looked ridiculously happy. And that's when I found out where they'd been. Her first baby scan. My husband had taken her. My husband sat right beside her. My husband held her hand. The experience that had been stolen from us, the experience I would never get back, he had gone and shared it with her instead. And I didn't say anything. I told myself I was being irrational. I told myself he was just helping a friend. But after that, I did start to notice things. Little things. Every evening somehow ended the same way. Me sitting in the armchair by myself and them two sitting together on the sofa. And whenever the baby kicked, she never called for me. She always called for him. Every single time he'd rush over like an excited parent. He'd grab his hand and place it on her stomach. And the two of them would literally just beam at each other whilst they felt the baby move. Meanwhile, I'm sitting 3 feet away wondering why I feel so alone in my own marriage. And I hated myself for feeling jealous. I hated myself for feeling resentful because she hadn't done anything wrong. She was pregnant and I was grieving and of course I was struggling. At least that's what I kept telling myself. I convinced myself that I was the problem. That I was bitter, damaged. That my grief was making me see things that weren't there. But deep down, I think I always knew that something was wrong. And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't shake that feeling. Then one day I came home from work and I heard laughing upstairs. And when I followed the sound, I found them both standing in my nursery. The nursery I'd spent weeks decorating as soon as I found out I was pregnant. The nursery I'd left exactly as it was after the miscarriage because I couldn't bring myself to touch it. Except now it had been touched. Everything had been moved. The decorations I'd chosen were coming down. Her baby's clothes were hanging in my baby's wardrobe. The room I'd built for my child was being transformed into a room for hers, and I completely lost it. I started screaming. I asked them what the hell they thought they were doing. How dare they? How dare they turn my baby's nursery into hers? And then my husband did something I will never forget. He stepped in front of her, as if I was a threat, like he was protecting her from me. And then he looked me straight in my eye and he said, if you can't handle this, maybe you should leave. Leave my own house. The house I'd bought years before I ever even met him. And in that moment, I was so shocked, so hurt and so completely exhausted that I did exactly that. I packed a bag. I came to my mum's and I left the two of them alone in my house.